The United States and Mexico are in the 2025 Gold Cup final. They will play this Sunday for the trophy. Now, back in 1991, we had the very first edition of the Gold Cup. Ever since, we've played 17 of them, with the current one being the 18th edition of this competition. Out of those 18, only one of them, all the way back in 2000, didn't have the United States or Mexico in the final. If we count this one, this edition, over the past four, 3 of them had a Mexico versus US final. So if you were to bet on what would be the last game of each Gold Cup, the trophy game, the final, US men's national team versus Mexico is always the best bet. So today, we're going to preview the 2025 final. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today we have the ultimate United States versus Mexico match preview for the 2025 Gold Cup final. This is how it's going to go. First, we're going to go through when and where to watch this game. Then we'll do the US men's national team projected starting 11, along with my starting 11 and what concerns I have about this game. Last but not least, we're going to go through Mexico with Jack from Deadball TV. The link to his channel is in the description of this video. Now listen, making it to the final based on the opponents we faced was the bare minimum. The real accomplishment would be to beat Mexico this Sunday. We held Greg Berhalter to that standard, and we should do the same to Mauricio Pochettino. He made it to the final. Congratulations, you beat the opponents you were supposed to beat, right? Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica, and Guatemala. Now beat Mexico on Sunday. That will be the real accomplishment. Now make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. If you did, I appreciate it. I thank you very much for that. Now if you did not, no hard feelings. Roll the episode. The US men's national team is set to face Mexico for the Gold Cup final this Sunday, July 6 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This game will take place at the NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Beautiful stadium, by the way, at least from the inside. If you're in the United States of America, you may watch this game on Fox, Univision, or TUDN. And I will 100% be doing a live watch along here at Tactical Manager TV. And this stream is actually very important because one, we're probably going to get an update from Spicy Jeff on the van that he bought, the very sketchy van that he bought. And usually these US-Mexico clashes, the chat is chaotic, and I love it. From 2020 till now, the United States has actually been much better than Mexico. However, the last time these two faced each other, Mexico got a 2-0 win. That was in late 2024. The United States was also missing many players, and that game was played in Mexico. But that was a friendly. The last time that Mexico actually beat the US men's national team in a competitive game was all the way back in the 2019 Gold Cup final. It's been a while. Since then, the United States in competitive games beat Mexico in the Nations League final in 2021, the Gold Cup final in 2021, the Nations League semifinals in 2023, the Nations League final in 2024, and during World Cup qualifying for the 2022 World Cup, the United States beat Mexico in the US and tied Mexico in Mexico. What's my point? It's been 6 games since Mexico has defeated the United States in competitive games. You know, when it actually matters. Honestly, I want to say one thing. Anyone pushing the narrative that Mexico are the clear favorites, I highly disagree with them. I think L3 is the slight favorite for this game. Barely, in my opinion. It's probably like 55-45, maybe 60-40 for Mexico. They're definitely the favorites, but in my opinion, not the clear favorites. I still think this game can go either way. Mexico's just better on paper, and they have been playing better than the United States in the Gold Cup. And they will kind of be playing at home, right? They'll have a home crowd advantage, even though this game is played in Houston in the US. Now, before we continue and I give you the United States projected starting 11 and the starting 11 that I would put out, you're going to smash the like button right now if you haven't already. And we're going to put a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Incogni, and we'll be back very soon. How often do you get spam calls? And you know why? Data brokers sell your data to businesses and even scammers, which leads to annoying spam calls, text, emails, and just in general, an invasion of your privacy. And you know what's the worst part? It's all legal, selling your data. And that can also lead to exposing sensitive information to bad actors. But it's not just that. In the United States of America, people search websites are a problem. Anyone can access your information, an employer, landlord, stalker, even that creepy neighbor. But Incogni, the sponsor of this video, takes care of that for you. And we also have a special offer. Incogni reaches out to the data brokers on your behalf, requests your personal data to be removed, and handles any objections from their website. And the entire process is automated. They also make sure your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals. That is why their yearly subscription is the way to go. And here's the special offer. Use the code TACTICALMANAGER at the link in the description of this video to get 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Yes, you heard that right. Use the code TACTICALMANAGER and you will get 60% off their annual plan. Plus, you also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. And thank you very much, Incogni, for partnering up with Tactical Manager and sponsoring this video. Make sure to use our special offer. All right, we are back. And now we're going to go through the projected starting 11 for the United States. And you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That seems to be Mauricio Pochettino's motto. The problem is, are we going to wait for someone to break it? One can only hope it doesn't break against our biggest rivals in the final. With that said, I fully expect Pochettino to put the same exact lineup that he's been putting out, that he did at least against Costa Rica, and he did against Guatemala, which is Matt Freese on goal, Alex Freeman as the right back, Usmnt as the left back, which is a big concern because he hasn't been good defensively, and that could be a big problem this game. Chris Richards and Tim Ream as the two center backs, Luca De La Torre and Tyler Adams in the double pivot. But I guess Tyler Adams is questionable for this game at the time of this recording because Pochettino did mention that he had a bit of a hamstring issue. I think he'll play, but let's just list him as questionable. Sebastian Berhalter as a wide player, even though he tucks inside in possession quite a bit. Diego Luna on the left wing, Malik Tillman as the central attacking midfielder, and Ajiman up top. Johnny Cardoso is another player that is questionable due to an ankle injury. Now, what would be the starting 11 that I would want to see? And let me explain to you why I would select these specific players. On goal, I would keep Matt Freese. I don't think Matt Turner would be an upgrade. It's pretty much 6 for half a dozen, so I'll just keep Matt Freese. He's been playing the entire tournament. The right back, I would keep Alex Freeman because we don't really have many options there. Nathan Harrio ain't it. But I would put John Tolkin there as the left back instead of Usmnt. I just think John Tolkin is better on defense, and we're kind of going to need it for this specific game against Mexico. Chris Richards and Tim Ream will be the two center backs for me because they've been playing the entire tournament. Now, the double pivot, I would go with Sebastian Berhalter because I think he's much better than Luca De La Torre, defensively especially, and Tyler Adams. Even though he's questionable, let's assume Tyler Adams will be available. On the right wing, I would put Brenden Aaronson because then he can track back and help us defend Alexis Vega for Mexico, which is honestly one of their best players, at least one of their best attackers, and he can help Alex Freeman, and Aaronson will do that job very well. On the left, we have to keep Diego Luna. He's been one of our best players in the tournament. Malik Tillman as our 10, our central attacking midfielder. And up top, I would go with Damian Downs. Not because I think he's a great option. I honestly don't know. We haven't seen enough from him. It's just that I think Ajiman has been pretty damn bad, and we need to try something different up top. Now, my biggest concerns for this game is pretty much just defense. We need to defend first, attack second. Mexico is a better team. And if we let them shoot as much as we let Costa Rica or Guatemala, we let Guatemala have 20 shots. They'll score 2, 3, or 4 goals if we allow that to happen. We can't let Mexico enjoy this game. The second thing I'm very concerned about is when we play out of the back. Whether it is my lineup or Pochettino, we should not try to play out of the back with Mexico. They can be very aggressive pressing, and we don't have many press-resistant players sitting back there. Matt Freese, not good with his feet. Tyler Adams, shaky on the ball at times. Tim Ream has been surprisingly bad on the ball this tournament and shaky, even though he normally isn't. Whether it is Tolkin or Barston, they're not great on the ball, also on the build-out as well. Alex Freeman is not good on the build-out. So once again, don't try to build out of the back. Mexico will press, and unfortunately, it will work. I'm essentially begging us not to try to play out of the back for this game. And once again, defend first. And that's one of the reasons why I would put Brenden Aaronson out wide, and I'll put Sebastian Berhalter central. He'll protect the back line with Tyler Adams, and Aaronson can be the guy that tracks back, especially because you can't allow Alexis Vega to play. And then obviously, Raul Jimenez is a crucial player for us to watch out when we face Mexico. Now that we kind of touched upon Mexico, let's bring Jack from Deadball TV because then we'll go more in depth about what Mexico has done so far in the Gold Cup, score predictions, and what both teams should be concerned about, what they do well and what they don't do well. So let's bring the guest of this episode, Jack from Dead Ball TV. Okay, Jack, welcome back to the channel. How are we doing today?
It's good to be back. Yeah, I'm ready to talk Gold Cup final.
USA and Mexico, once again. I'm no betting man. I don't think you are either, but that's usually the best bet for the final. Regardless of the rosters they bring, that's the safest bet. And here we are again. We made again. Jesse Marsh has let us down with Canada. He's been a bad American lately, but
oh man,
we're not going to talk about Jesse today.
It's almost getting boring, dude. It's almost getting boring. I'm glad that we're back in the final, but I would like to see a little bit of parity in this region for once.
I would say yes, it's almost getting boring, but when the game starts between the US and Mexico, what we lack sometimes in quality, it's always entertaining. The games are always fun. I can't remember one Mexico-US that besides friendlies, any competitive game, it's always great. And I think Mexico has a lot to prove on this one. This is their first actual revenge game that they can try to get from losing multiple competitive games, because the last one was a friendly. So Mexico got here by defeating a surprisingly good Dominican Republic side 3-2. Then they defeated Suriname 2-0. They tied Costa Rica 0-0 in the end of the group stage, where I thought Mexico was actually quite better than Costa Rica that specific game. Quarterfinals, they defeated Saudi Arabia 2-0. Not much of a threat there. And the last game was the one against Honduras 1-0. Out of these games, what are your overall thoughts on this team? Any concerns against the United States? The strengths, the weaknesses? What have you seen so far?
Yeah, there's a lot to break down here. I think what we've seen, and I think the biggest thing that frustrates me and other Mexico fans, is we want to see more goals in a lot of these games. I made the joke that we've turned into set piece FC because Cesar Montes was the tied for top goal scorer in the tournament with 3 goals. He's a center back for any Americans watching. Like, oh, is that Mexico's striker? No, that's our center back. He had 3 goals. 4 of our goals in the group stage were from set pieces. I think we're a bit frustrated that we have a couple good chances created from open play every single game, but it's not the volume and it's not the quality that we would want. And I think what I'm kind of been preaching as my takeaway is offensively from open play, we are a bit ride or die with Raul Jimenez. So if you're looking at US men's national team keys to victory, it has to be keep Raul Jimenez off the score sheet. I think if Raul scores, we win. Period. I think it's that simple. He is the guy who has to convert for Mexico because we don't really have goal scorers in the midfield, dude. We don't really have goal scorers at the winger. I mean, I don't want anybody telling me Piojo is going to, all of a sudden start scoring a brace every single game. We just don't have that type of personnel around Jimenez. We have a very good defense. If you want to talk about the things that look good, I would say in every game, even though it's been a little boring at times, I've gone live for every game. You can see me falling asleep at times during these streams. Mexico has always looked like the better team at the full-time whistle. And I think part of that is because defensively, we've done a very good job of not conceding a lot of great chances. Like even the goals we conceded against the Dominican Republic, like Peter Gonzalez's first goal, that goal is a banger. Like, yeah, he cooks Jesus Gallardo out wide, but it's a tough shot. Like it's not, for the XG merchants, it's not like a 0.9 XG. That's a tough shot to make. And that's how we end up conceding. And we haven't conceded since that game. So the defense, which I think was a strength with Jimmy Lozano, Aguirre's come in and kind of solidified it a little bit more. Malagon's replaced Ochoa. We've had a lot of movement at the fullback positions, which I can get into if you want. But yeah, I would say that's like the aerial overview of Mexico's campaign. It's been pragmatic. We, I guess, before the introduction of Gilberto Mora, kind of lacked a creative attacking midfielder. So we were a lot more reliant on wide play to create chances. Kind of need Raul to score from open play. We've been great from set pieces. We've been great defensively. We have embraced the bad guy identity under Aguirre. I kind of joke that we look like we're the bad guys with our gold and black. We look like we're some evil Star Wars Imperial Guard type thing. And I think that's how we need to win. By the way,
I like those jerseys.
Dude, they're so sick. I'm actually going to buy one this weekend because I'm going to the Gold Cup final. So
I'm not going to buy it, but they're good looking jerseys.
I'll get it for you. Don't worry. You don't got to buy it. I'll just send me your address.
And I have a Club America jersey.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the America fans will love to hear that.
Yeah, I
Everybody
talked
else will
about
be
that a
furious,
long
though.
time ago. I bought it many, many years ago. It was when they knocked out Flamengo in the Libertadores with Cabañas scoring, I think, a hat trick in the Maracanã. I was like, oh, that you won me over right there. That's all you needed. I have a question for you about that, based on what you said about Mexico. You talked about your defense being rock solid. It's not like the United States is also scoring loads of goals. We only scored against Trinidad. We've been struggling to score. Like Ajiman, the center forward, has 2 goals, technically one. One of the two was like Diego Luna shot and he kind of like hit it in on accident almost. Luna and Tillman have mostly been carrying that offense. And then everything else is like the U.S. trying to put a set piece with Sebastian Berhalter, which the deliveries have been fine. We're just not being really effective with it. But our defense has been kind of shaky throughout the tournament. Against Costa Rica, we conceded 2 goals, a lot of opportunities for them, and they were missing Ugaude. They were missing players. Guatemala got 20 shots off against the U.S. And if you give that many to Mexico, you're going to get goals if we give those many. Because eventually some of them will go to Raul, for example. So would you place Mexico as favorites due to that? Very often with these cups, defense wins the tournament at the end of the day, and it looks like Mexico has figured that out. The U.S., I'm assuming Pochettino will put out the same lineup with Arston that can't defend to save his life.
Right.
Luca Del Torre hasn't been protecting the back line very well either. Goalkeeper's a hit or miss with the United States. So, and would you say Mexico, they're the favorites then? Slightly at least?
I would love to know the argument for Mexico not being the favorite. I think we are clearly the favorite in this game. I don't even think that's debatable. Do you think the U.S. is the favorite?
No, I think it's not blown out. I think it can be a little blown out of proportion, like some people think, like the clear favorite. I think they're the slight favorites. The reason I say that is a few things. Anyone that's followed soccer for long enough, it's a derby. And you know how derbies are. Man City will come with a better team against Manchester United and then lose 1-0. Because if you, I'm going to bring this up. Like, let's go back to the 2021 Gold Cup final, right? Let me put this up for you. This was the U.S. lineup, and this was the Mexico lineup. I will tell you right now, Mexico's starting 11 is much better than the American one. We had Zardes, Areola, and Hoppy as our front
I
three.
remember this
Kellyn
game. It was one
Acosta,
of the
yeah,
darkest days of my life.
exactly. Acosta, Williamson, and Leggett. Actually, Williamson was actually pretty good back then. Then he tore an ACL. That's a different story. The back line, Reggie Cannon, completely flopped in Europe. Even I think he's struggling in MLS. I don't even know where Reggie Cannon is right now. George Bello, Miles Robinson might be the only one that kind of panned out after, had some good moments, bad moments. He scored that goal. Matt Turner, James Stan. And then look at Mexico. You have Edson Alvarez. Hector Herrera was still a good player back then. That's 2021, right?
Mhm.
Nestor Araujo was not a bad center back. Gallardo, yeah, I don't know. Chaca
I
Rodriguez.
don't know, bro. This back line is pretty ass. I'm looking
Yeah,
at this
but
now. Like,
Tecatito was really good back then. No
yeah,
Corona. Funes Mori, but better than
scrub,
Zardes. Pineda. So
scrub.
the Mexican lineup is much better than the American one, and the U.S. ended up winning in 2021 1-0. I think anything can happen. I would say if I had to put the odds of someone winning, it would probably be something like 55% to Mexico, 45 for the U.S.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think it's
really?
that far. I don't think it's that far off.
I'll say two things. Number one, that 2021 Gold Cup final was an affront to CONCACAF. The fact that those two teams made the final of a federational tournament. I mean, we were truly down bad and didn't know it, did we?
We beat Qatar in the semis, by the way. Qatar.
Yeah. 1-0, right? Late.
Not too late. The Jamaica game was late, but Qatar wasted a
Okay.
penalty. They wasted a penalty.
Okay. Well, it should have been Qatar, Mexico then. I would say the favorites in this case, I would give it Mexico 75, USA 25. I think
So
I hear
heavy
what you're
favorites.
saying. Heavy favorites. I think your argument is it's a rivalry, anything can happen. I'm not disagreeing with you, but anything else, who's more talented? This US squad or this Mexico squad?
On paper, the Mexican squad.
Which manager has had a better tournament so far? Javier Aguirre or Pochettino?
Oh, better even like his time with Mexico has been better so far than Pochettino. Don't get just a tournament. Get all these months. He won Nations League.
Okay. Who's the defending champion of the Gold Cup?
It is Mexico with the U.S. bringing a B squad, but you're right. It is. Well, we have a B squad too. So yeah, Mexico.
I think however you want to look at this, we should win. We should win. Now, if we lose, how should I put this? The Mexico has far more to lose reputationally than the U.S. Because if you guys lose, what will you all say? I know what you will tweet. You will say it's our backups. Doesn't matter. Who
you want to know the
cares?
first thing I'll tweet? If we lose,
domestic.
I mean, the first thing is like what I've been telling the American fans because
Poch
today,
out.
Tim Ream put out a statement as if like the US making it to the final, they're the underdogs. I'm like, wait, look at our group: Trinidad and Tobago, Saudi Arabia missing key players, Haiti, and then we played Costa Rica missing key players, and then we played Guatemala. Which of these teams were we not the favorites? Right? Every game we were the favorites. We probably wouldn't have been if we played Canada, but they got knocked out early. That can happen in cup tournaments. It can always happen.
Costa Rica is the only argument that you could make.
But they were missing enough players that I still think we were the favorites. Even if it's slight, we were the favorites to beat them.
Yeah.
So again, there you go. We were the favorites in every game, some of them by a wide margin, thin margin with Costa Rica. This is the first game that we're not the favorites. Now, early in the summer, we played two teams that we were not the favorites, and we got spanked. They were friendlies, but we got spanked by both of them. Mexico didn't, right? They played a lot better than the U.S. So I agree that they're the favorites, but there's this thing that we were saying. When it's a derby, even when there's a big gap, usually it kind of evens out because it just becomes a very like gritty game. They're very sometimes even violent, aggressive from both sides. And you kind of said it yourself. It's also we're also gonna see how this Mexican side behaves under pressure because the pressure is on them. They need to beat the U.S. in a competitive game. That hasn't happened since 2019 in the Gold Cup final. So they need to win this game. While the U.S. Tim Ream is even saying it himself. We're not expected to be here, even though that's bullshit. But I don't know how much I agree with being the heavy favorites, but yeah, I'm not going to argue against being the favorites. Let me put this lineup here real quick because you mentioned it very quickly. This is the Mexican lineup against Honduras, which that's probably going to be the starting 11, I'm assuming. Is this the strongest Mexico we've seen in the past post-COVID era? COVID era, I would say.
Yes. There's maybe one or two positions that people will argue. Piojo Alvarado, you can see him, number 25, the right winger. There are shouts for Julian Quiñones or for Chino Huerta to start there. I'm okay with Piojo being there. I can get into the reasons why. I just feel like Chino's better as a sub, and Quiñones is very hot and cold. And Julian Araujo, the right back, many, myself included, would probably still believe that Rodrigo Huescas, who's playing in Copenhagen, is probably a slightly better option, at least going forward. But this is probably the Mexican national team at 95% strength.
You don't think Chucky Lozano has a spot in this roster?
I think Tecatito Corona has a spot in this roster. I don't know if Chucky Lozano does. I wouldn't hate to see him back. I just think he's fighting Alexis Vega, who is clearly the best player in Mexico right now and for Toluca. I'm talking like Liga MX. He's not the best Mexican, but in Liga MX, he's clearly the best player. I don't really know what Chucky would bring other than seniority, probably a little bit of respect. Yeah, but we have Chino Huerta there, who's at Anderlecht. So it would probably help a little bit, but should Chucky Lozano be starting? I would say no.
Yeah, and I in terms of Tecatito, I wasn't really following him much, but then I watched him in the Club World Cup, and I saw that game against Dortmund. Like, this guy still has it. Can still be very dangerous here. There's something, at least for depth, having him off the bench doesn't sound like a bad option. Plus, he's an experienced player. Last but not least, before we close, I'm going to get your score prediction for this game. But the player you mentioned, Mora, 16 years old, had a very nice assist for Mexico to defeat Honduras. Is he the real deal?
I kind of have a rule that I don't speak on young Mexican talent that often because we overhype them to a different universe. I don't want to put too much pressure on him. He looks very promising. What I liked the most about the Honduras game, which I'm not sure how many Honduras matches you've watched recently, but they're an extremely physical midfield. Like, Debbie Flores is a pit bull. Gervin Arriaga, I think, is probably one of the most underrated midfielders in CONCACAF.
They've been like that since I've watched soccer.
Dude,
like,
they are.
I
just say they're a group of soldiers. Like, they just go out there and they just battle. And they were kicking the shit out of. Oh, sorry. Can I curse?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. They were kicking the poop out of Mora in the first half. And I mean, as a 16-year-old kid, that's got to be like a really intimidating environment. This is his second game for Mexico in a semifinal. And he kind of just manned up on the fly. Should have had multiple assists in this game. He does look like the real deal. Is he like on pace to be the GOAT Mexican player? I'm not ever going to say that, but yeah, he looks like a proper stud.
Yeah, as long as there's obviously hopefully no injuries and he continues to develop. I watched that game against Honduras. It's obviously one game, but I was kind of impressed that a 16-year-old was looking like a prime 25-year-old, controlling the midfield well, very composed. The assist, Raul didn't even need to take a touch because it was so perfect the way he placed the pass under pressure, by the way. He was under pressure. Okay, your score prediction for this game.
Can I ask you a question first before I
Of course.
give my score prediction? What do you think is the U.S.'s key to victory? Like, how do you think y'all would win? And is there like one point of weakness that you see in Mexico that you're like, I know what Pochettino needs to cook?
It's only if we adjust the defense. If our defense is not rock solid and we're not conceding enough opportunities for Mexico's, we have no shot. It's what I probably said throughout the video before you even came in. If we concede as many chances as we have to Costa Rica and Guatemala, Mexico will get probably 2 to 3 goals. And then I'm asking the audience right now, if Mexico scores 3, do we really think the U.S. is going to score 3? I don't think we are. If Mexico scores 2, do we think the U.S. will score 2? Maybe, probably not. But that's 2 penalty shootouts, right? Not even to win. 3 goals we're not scoring. So it's all about that defense there. If we are leaky and conceding chance, if we're not playing as a unit back there and actually not conceding a lot of shots, XGs, because Mexico has more quality, right? And we talked about this before, how a team against Mexico might need 5 chances to get a goal, while Guatemala needs 15. So you can't do that like what we did with Guatemala. Like, we literally invited them to attack us in the second half. And if it was Mexico, they probably would have gotten 2, 3, or 4 goals in that half. There's more quality in every single position. So the key to victory is our defense. Because I do think if Luna and Tillman are playing the way they are, I think we can create enough chances to possibly get a goal. But I don't see us scoring. I think the limit would be 2.
Yeah.
But the way
if
we're
y'all
playing,
score 3, huge out for us, to be honest.
I don't like. I think if we play very well on offense, we'll get 2 goals. If we play very well, so the key to us is our defense. If we're leaking the amount of chances we have been leaking, there's no way, because then Mexico will get at least 2 goals. So the best case scenario there is we take it to penalties. That's the best case scenario. So that I think the key to the U.S. is to keep it a low scoring game. That's the key.
I totally agree. My concern for the U.S. in the Guatemala game was Freeman and Arston defending out wide, and they didn't do a great job in that semifinal. And I'm just thinking
quarterfinals
or the quarterfinals. Yeah, but I guess for Costa Rica, like, their wingers are a bit, no offense to Guatemala, it's just like a bit higher caliber than what Guatemala has. But even Guatemala, like, those guys play really direct football. I think they had a freaking great Gold Cup, man. I was really, really impressed with how they played. I just look at that and I'm like, okay, if it's Alexis Vega, the MVP of Liga MX, versus Alex Freeman one-on-one, with Mateo Chavez making an overlapping run, with Raul Jimenez in the box instead of Rubio Rubin, Mexico, we have to feast on that. We have to score with these advantages that we have. I mean, Arston defending a one-on-one is a travesty. So for Piojo, the guy that I talked about is maybe the one question mark. This is a huge game for him if he starts at right wing, because if he becomes the first player that makes Arston look good defensively, we got a problem, and he's probably lost his spot. So it's funny you say we got to be better defensively, especially like in the fullbacks. I'm saying, yeah, we got to rip the U.S. fullbacks. Like, that's how we have put some good crosses in the box. Rely on Raul, maybe Santi coming on as a sub. I do not think Santi will or should start. It was scored that way. Score prediction for me, I will be very surprised. I agree with you that the U.S. max for goals in this game, I think it's 2. I think what's more likely is you guys probably will get 1, because I think the set pieces, it's just a matter of time before you get one. I think Chris Richards should have had one against Guatemala, but it was a great save from Navarro. I'm going to say Mexico wins at 2-1. I do think we score multiple goals. Can we keep a clean sheet? Can we get it 2-0? It's possible, but I think because of how good y'all's midfield is, you probably will get 1. My concern, I'll be honest with you, dude, is we get like a red card or something. We got a couple hotheads in the team.
Derbies. I told you, it's a derby.
We've seen Cesar Montes specifically lose his head before against the United States. Mateo Chavez, who may start the final, it might be Gallardo, but he's a hothead too. He was kind of flirting with a red card against Honduras as well. So I'm a little scared about some of the intangibles for us. But I think as long as we don't shoot ourselves in the freaking foot, we're going to win this game.
I am going to go with a prediction of a 1-1. And then penalty shootouts flip a coin. I don't know what will happen
Okay.
there. But I think the game will end 1-1. I think Mexico will. Well, I'm certain Mexico will be more ball dominant and they'll look like the better team. But I think it'll end 1-1. I don't see us holding a clean sheet. That's the thing. I don't see it. We've been struggling to hold clean sheets against every team. It's besides what Saudi Arabia. Actually, Saudi Arabia almost scored too, but Haiti scored on us. Costa Rica scored on us. Guatemala, I doubt Mexico won't. I do think Pochettino will be smart enough to be a bit more defensive and cautious in this game. I hope, because I'll tell you one thing. If he is not, and Mexico scores first in the first 15 to 20 minutes, then it could be actually 3-0, 4. It could get actually pretty ugly.
Mhm.
But we'll see. Jack, thank you very much. Everyone, the link to Dead Ball TV, that's Jack's channel, will be in the description of this video. He'll be covering a lot of the Gold Cup as well. And we have a special episode lined up for his channel later this month, so you guys might want to stick around for that. So subscribe to his. Jack, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like right now before you go. Thank you, Incogni, for sponsoring this video. The link with the special offer is in the description of this video. I'll see you all on Sunday for the live watch along. It's going to be big. It's going to be fun. Hopefully, we celebrate a win by the end of it. I'm going to be nervous. It's going to be a bit crazy, but we always enjoy it. And hopefully, we celebrate a win. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.